Gary, off the back of a very successful IRT harness, Jules, was hard not to enjoy that day.
Greg, it put little goosebumps all over my arms. Well done to Cambridge. David Branch and his team, thank you very much on behalf of everybody that was there and those at home punting. 1 in a million, I just got the numbers through. Yep. She's in the top 2, and the reason it's only not first at the moment is because of a 1 year when there was 11 cancellations of thoroughbred racing in Australia, and we had a boomer because nothing else to bet on. So effectively, number 2, but number 1 in my eyes.
Also, heartiest congratulations to you and your ownership group, South Coast Arden and the last, set that place alight.
Yeah, thank you, Brent Mangos, a man who told us when we bought him as a yearling, you won't have anything out of this boy until he's 4. We've had a few wins, as you know, through 2 and 3 year olds, but this was the time to get him ready. And he had a bit of a setback too at the start of the season, or start of hitting January, and we weren't too sure whether we would get there or not. But Brent's done a miracle, and we've got a win, Jules. Yep. Pretty exciting. Yeah,
certainly is. Right, let's move on to the change of birth date for the horses. Tell me, first of all, how was it received by the clubs, and was it unanimous?
Absolutely unanimous. No, every positive vote. Couldn't be better.
Layman's terms, let's explain it, how it's going to unfold, particularly in its in the short term.
Okay, now let's talk about when the horse is born. So if your horse is born up until January of a year, so let's say January 2021, your horse turns 1 in January 2022. If you have a horse in 21, and that's from August through to December, it would be 1 in January 2023.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward. What about benefits for making this change? What are the main benefits?
First of all, to anyone who's bought a yearling, when you start racing as a 2-year-old, you're going to have 11 months to race a 2-year-old, not 5 months. Secondly, and the biggest one, is animal welfare. These horses are going to be stronger, more mature, and so their bones get a chance to grow, and we get a better end product. Horses get 2 bites at the apple as 2-year-olds going into their year. Start at the start of it like normal, February, have some time down in the middle, and then we go through again at the end, so they get 2 bites at the whistle.
Any negatives?
I haven't found any yet, but I'm damn sure someone will remind me there are. Breeders, owners, all very, very positive, so it's all good at the moment.
Aligning it with the Australian calendar too. Yeah, sure, in the first 16 months, there's going to be some significant change, but ultimately it'll quickly become the norm.
Yeah, it will become the norm, and we do have that little 5-6 month area of transition. So what we'll do is we'll carry on with the program the way that we normally have it, with a couple of little minor changes, and then we go into the new programming from then on in, and we try and make sure that we don't compete with the Australian schedule, we create our own.
There's an 8-person panel been looking at the reshaping. Tell me about their progress and what the pathway is from here.
Okay, so they should be complete next week, and then I'll have the board in on the 18th of June reviewing it, and then from there we'll have the clubs, especially the clubs that run all our group racing, and then from there we bring some owners in, and then we go to the rest of the industry and start consulting. We have to have this nailed down so that we can actually put out a schedule going forward by the end of October. And what I'd like to do, Greg, big call here, put out a year schedule so people know where their horses are going to be a year in advance, not 6 weeks in advance. Big call, see how we go.
And licence holders and the greater community of harness racing, the best place for them to go will be the HRNZ website. You're pretty much going to have a monthly update, or certainly post each board meeting.
Yeah, Greg, I'd like to come online if I can, if you're happy to do that. After every board meeting, I'll come online and give updates. I think it's important as we move forward that we keep the communication going and everybody hears it directly from me. So if that's all right with you, that's what I'd like to do.
Martin, change of horse birthday dates going to have a significant impact, particularly on the sire stakes.
Oh, Greg, huge. And first I'd like to congratulate the industry on the decision. I think it's a very positive one. The transition is going to be challenging, but once we get past that, enormously positive, I think. Sire stakes. So the board met last week. Been talking to HRNZ clearly prior to that, sponsors, clubs, and some participants, not broadly, but just some participants. And the board decided to run the sire stakes program in the spring as business as usual. So that means that the Woodland Stud Series We won't call it a 3-year-old race. It'll be the Woodland Side Stakes that will run through October, finishing up here on IRT New Zealand Cup Day. The fillies, the Dunstan Horse Feeds fillies, they will start at Ashburton on the Thursday, that popular meeting during Cup Week, and they'll finish up in Auckland on the 31st of December. So business as usual, we just won't call it a 3-year-old race.
So at this stage, that's as far as you possibly can go. The other role that you have in this is you're part of I think it was about an 8-person panel looking at reshaping the overall age group calendar. There's a bit of water to go under the bridge here, isn't there?
There sure is, and it's exciting, but an enormous amount of work. So, Sire Stakes first, up to the 31st I've just explained. The other races that are affected for us, the Kaikoura, New Zealand Yelling Sales Age Classic, and the Neverlear Mare race on here on show day. We're going to allow 3-year-olds in this year. Right. The reason for that, in the last year we had 8 and 6 4-year-olds. So if we excluded what would have normally been 4, we could decimate the field. The 31st of December also, NZB Standardbred, Harness Million. Before this, the conversation was that they would like to race at Auckland prior to the Karaka sale. So we're working with HRNZ around that as well. So that's the only change up to the 31st from what would normally happen.
All right. There's going to be a few moving parts here. I'm sure we'll get a chance to catch up with you further down the track, but thanks for taking the time and bringing us up to speed anyway.
Welcome, Greg. Thank you very much.